The algorithm wants you to be average. I think too many creative people are getting pulled in the wrong direction, making content for the algorithm, when we should just be making content for a community we want to serve. Hi, I'm Steve, and I created Futureative to explore the future of creativity so independent creatives everywhere can navigate the next decade of change. We all know that social media platforms are built to reward certain things. This has been very well publicized. We're all aware that these platforms reward attention and therefore encourage people to optimize their content for this. The misnomer is thinking that the algorithm is encouraging us to make better work. Just because people respond to something with their attention doesn't mean the work is better. Here's what I think is happening. We think the algorithm is trying to help us make better content that connects with more people, so we move in that direction. But if everybody is making content to please the algorithm, and the algorithm is then rewarding certain characteristics in the content, then everybody's content ends up with the same certain characteristics over time. This is why each platform starts to have its own unique feel, its own kind of vibe. It's something that I've described in the past, for example, as the MrBeastification of YouTube, where suddenly over time every thumbnail began to look like a MrBeast thumbnail, until everybody's thumbnails looked like a MrBeast thumbnail. And as we know, that doesn't necessarily mean the thumbnails are better, it just means they all look more MrBeast-like. Now, I've watched different creatives bend and change their work over time, not to suit themselves, but to suit the platforms. And we justify this early as a few little changes, but then if some of those changes land, well, we want to do more of them. And so over time, the algorithm can start to prioritize a level of conformity across our creative work and others. But great creative work doesn't come from conformity, it comes from creativity, which is a process of making new things. This doesn't make sense to me that creatives would sacrifice their originality in pursuit of being praised by the algorithm and showered in virality. I mean, I know why we're all tempted, but I think all it does is point creative people towards the social media hamster wheel that then once it starts spinning becomes harder and harder to get off of. So what do we do about this? Well, I think we stop listening to the algorithm and start dancing to our own tune more often. And our own tune should be trying to work out what we actually want to make and how we want to connect with people, and then how we want to present it in a way that we're proud of. And if that doesn't work as well at the beginning for the algorithm's perspective, I really think in the long game, it's going to work out. When we show up in the world with things we make that we're proud of, people can feel it. And actual fan bases and communities can start to form. And then we don't have to be as reliant on the algorithm anymore. The whole point of sharing creative work on a platform shouldn't be some ridiculous number of views that don't mean anything. It should be to share stories and art with an audience and build community and connection. Not an audience to broadcast to, but one that feels far more like a circle of people. The most interesting creative work I've ever seen has been the stuff that felt like it wasn't trying to appeal to everyone. You know, independent creative work, your work. And I'm realizing that for all the time I took off social media, I didn't feel like I missed all that much, because so much of what we consume online is just the same stuff in different packaging, or different stuff maybe in the same packaging. Either way, I know I want to find more of what the algorithm doesn't recommend, and I don't think I'm alone in this feeling. What I did miss is having real conversations with other creative people, and of course, finding indie work, finding that new band to listen to, for example. I miss those things. And like so many other people right now, I'm back online actively trying to look for it, not just hope for the algorithm to recommend it. Might just turn out that the entire mission at Futureative to help independent creative people is just maybe some selfish desire to experience more creative work and stories and have discussions around that. Because I think we all want to have more of these discussions, and we all want to experience more independent creative work. And I think we can do this in a way online where we don't have to just wait for the algorithm to give us stuff. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But back to you, because every time you get to post something online, you get a choice. We can pander to what we think the platform and therefore people want, Or we can strive to evolve our creativity and see if we can build something that is truly ours and truly unique. Now, I know we will always borrow from ideas of what we see other people do. That is a normal part of creativity. But I think there's an opportunity here to think about what we make, to make it our own, and also to package it in a way that feels truly creative and that feels good to us. I'll leave you with this. Are you making and publishing and packaging up the creative work you really want to make? Or are you making and publishing and packaging your work because you think the algorithm will reward it? Sometimes it can pay to be tactical, yes, but just as long as the creativity doesn't suffer. Now, if you're interested in more about how I'm thinking about social media right now, I've recorded the first of what will hopefully be many updates on the behind the scenes of building a creative brand from scratch. If that piques your interest, you might like to watch this video next.